Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to Toy Safety Essentials. We're now going to make it a little bit more complex and a little bit more real because there's so many families who have more than just one child, and often some of these safety guidance and advice will overlap and make it that much more difficult. So in this video, I'll be talking about how to keep playtime safe when you've got kids of different ages playing together. To illustrate to you why this matters, I want to share with you a story that's very close to my heart. It's a story of my sister who now has a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, a very typical situation with the age range where maybe her 4-year-old likes to play with construction sets and little pieces and small world figurines. And she's got a 1-year-old who likes to now explore the space, get over different obstacles and couches, and explore the limitations of the body and movement. So all it takes in this situation is a doorbell or a phone call that will distract my sister for a total of 30 seconds, right? And what risk can happen there is really serious. So let's imagine a situation that I've just explained. So a 4-year-old playing with a construction set on the sofa and a 1-year-old exploring movement. So all it takes is, let's say, 15 seconds for the 1-year-old to come close to the sofa, grab one of the construction set pieces, and her 4-year-old likes to share, she's a good sister. That 1-year-old will put it in his mouth and try and explore a little bit with textures and hardness of that material and the color, and all of these things would be really, really interesting. Of course, my sister will then come and, intervene, possibly take that piece out of her son's mouth. But risk is clear, risk of choking, because these pieces that the 4-year-old is playing with, a 1-year-old might not be safe to play with. Because if you remember previous videos, we talked about the size of objects and how younger children still explore a lot with their mouth. So if they ingest it, there is a clear risk of choking. And even if it goes all the way, if it's a very small piece, there will be different problems and risk with ingestion further down the line. So what this situation would mean is stress for the mother, stress for the older child, potentially pain for the younger child, loads of parental guilt, hours spent in emergency room. And this kind of day is, it's overall a situation we would definitely want to avoid. So how do we avoid it? Let's talk about some practical strategies that you can do from today to make sure that safe play activities are held in your house. So I want to mention 3 things. I'm going to be talking about the space, storage, and timing. Let's focus first on space in which we play. So you want to overall create different segments, different play zones. So you can use furniture to create these different play areas, but you need to be careful if you're going to move furniture, because there is always risk of especially younger children climbing over, tipping over, and similar. So you want to use the furniture you have, be it little coffee tables or chairs or something that's around that you can use to separate the 2 spaces of older children and younger children playing. Then you want to use height to your advantage. Obviously, older children will be able to reach some areas where younger children might not be able to reach yet. So you might want to put toys for older children on higher shelves and toys for younger children on the lower shelves. You can also use the top shelf rule. That's usually the highest spaces you have around the house where you will store things or toys with very small pieces that you definitely want to supervise. So you want to make sure the child cannot get to that by themselves and play by themselves if you're not looking, or if they got out of bed and you didn't notice, and you don't want them to get to that by themselves. Of course, in this situation where we're talking about separating space, you might want to use safety gates. Safety gates are perfect, really good tool for this. However, we need that quick, safe installation to make sure that we get the separation where we need it, but it's safe for everyone involved. Safety gates are created with babies and young children in mind, so those would be perfect pieces of furniture or tools to use to separate the spaces. Right, let's talk now about storage. Storage is equally important because you can make this process easier for yourself. So an example is to use different colored boxes for different toys for different ages. So an example I've seen recently that's really good is using red boxes for toys that need direct supervision. So those small pieces, things that you understand that your children cannot yet independently play with, so you want to be around. And maybe blue boxes for toys that can be played with independently. So it's a visual cue for you, it's a visual cue for your children, and it will work on those tired, distracted days as well. Another idea is welcomed by many parents. It's the use of clear boxes. They work great because, first of all, your children can see what's in them. They can very easily get to toys that they want to play with without making a mess of the space and, trying to find them in all the other boxes. And it also helps you to very quickly see what's inside and potentially supervise if you need to, if they're getting into a box that, you can see has toys and materials that are not suitable for them. And of course, like I've said, keep those tricky, risky toys higher up. I'm sure you're already doing that. I know households with small children have so many things stored at height. So try and use that for toys as well. But you can, as I've said, use height to your advantage, that the older children can reach toys that they're allowed to play with, but not younger children. Right. Now let's talk about timing. Timing can be just as important as where toys are kept or where we play. So you can use smart scheduling. It's actually easier and more intuitive than it might sound. So you might let older children play with some toys, the special toys that might be risky for the younger ones, while those little ones are napping, while they have their bath time, or whilst you have either those children safely around you or they're distracted by some other activity. If you have the luxury, you could organize playtimes when you have enough adults, so one adult with one child, and then you can safely organize it that way. And you want to keep an eye out for really good opportunities to play with your child in a safe way. What do I mean by that? So for many families, especially families with children who are on SEN group or are attending different therapies or different activities, that time, whilst you're waiting for your child to complete, one of your children to complete the therapy, is a great opportunity to give that undivided attention and playtime to the other child or other children. So if there is something that maybe younger child is not supposed to be near, or is something that other children could destroy, but this child finds very, very precious, this might be the right time to play with that. So keep an eye around smart scheduling of play and giving enough opportunity and, allowing for children to play with things that they are interested in, that they want to play with, because they will find a way to play that way. But better when you organize it than when they find the time on their own. So what's really important when we talk about mixed age households is getting everyone on board. Now, for that to work, you will have to have a few rules, very simple rules that can be understood by both children and adults. Before we get to rules, I want to highlight to you a little system that you might put in place, and it's a quick cleanup rule, quick cleanup plan, which is really useful for when new children are coming or when a younger child is entering the room and you actually need a quick tidying. First of all, you might need to have an empty box close to your main play space so that you can just grab that and put everything in, every risky item into that box, and then organize it later on. Another really good suggestion that has been a hit is to have a special song or a special game that is used when you need a quick cleanup. So this could be a challenge for you and your older child or a younger one. When you put a song and they know that this song is a little competition of who can put things quicker in the box or some similar game like that. The idea behind all this is to practice this quick toy sweep together with your children so that they know how to help you if you need help in removing different risky items. Now, when we talk about getting older children on board with our ideas, it's difficult sometimes. I give you that. You want to generally help them understand why we have these rules. Now, this will depend on the age of the child. Reasoning and this level of abstract thinking and planning in advance is not something that all children can do. So keep an eye, keep in mind their age and their ability at that point. But what you can always do is to make them feel proud of being your helpers, of being in a role of supporting play for the young child or keeping everyone safe. That is a especially proud feeling, and it's really nice if you can incorporate that. If they're a little bit older, they might prefer a role like being your safety detective or being, depending on what they're playing with now, what they're interested in, you can incorporate this activity into a role. And you want to show them and create a little system, an easy system for them to know where toys should be and how to store them. Remember the boxes that we were talking about? There's a really good system of putting pictures on those boxes with all items inside. So the child is actually matching the look of the box by placing all those toys so that they look like in the picture. Very easy, very quick, very playful as well. It's like a puzzle. Um, Overall, you want to encourage them to follow the rules that you've set, simple, easy rules. But you need to keep in mind that if it's a shared playtime, that is their playtime as well. So all the children shouldn't always assume the role of a guardian, keeper, older adult. They actually are just there to play. So whilst they might be keeping an eye, helping you, they also need to have their playtime as well. Now, among grown-ups, it's a little bit of a different story, right? We are all responsible for the children that play around us, and we want to keep an eye. So in order for that to work for everyone, every adult, you want to have simple rules. They're remembered easily. When you're having a bad day, when you haven't slept a lot, when you have someone quickly taking over from you. And what might be useful is putting up reminders for yourself, but also for anyone else who might take over in a second. Now, if you're a single parent, you might not plan for this. You think you are the only primary caretaker of your children, but there might be situations if you get hurt or if you get called to do something and you organize someone quickly to take care of your children, but you won't have at that point time to organize the space, to tell them everything, to do all that preparation work. So if you can, put out reminders for yourself and for someone else. If you do have a co-parent, or if this is for a grandparent or an auntie or uncle or friend, chat regularly about how your children play. That is the most useful piece of information, because if you're there jumping into supervised play, you want to know what to keep an eye on and how you can help someone anticipate that risk. And that is chatting about how your children play, if they play rough or if they play in a specific way. Do they explore small parts, and how do they do that? Finally, arguably the most important part is to know what to do if things go wrong. Now, you being here and watching this video shows me that you're very responsible and you're already working on it. However, as I said in the first video, this is just one piece of the puzzle. And you should attend first aid course for children, or pediatric first aid or mini first aid or whatever it's called, that you can find in your environment, in your local in your city, in your town, some way for you to familiarize yourself with actions you can take to help, how you can offer help to your child when things go wrong. Have that information near. So all the telephone numbers, all the information about children that you might need to give to dispatcher, all the stuff to make that situation a little bit easier. Let's not all constantly avoid it, but actually be prepared in case it happens, because it happens more often than you think. Right. So to make this a little bit lighter for the end, I wanted to go through a typical day to day. So this is how it looks like when you're trying to maintain safety for, larger household with multiple children, different ages, very dynamic. How does it look like? On a typical day, you would do a morning check. So before children come in, you want to make sure everything is where it should be. Now, rule here is less is more. You will hear me talking about this on social media a lot, because if you have a lot of toys, then there is a lot to check and a lot to keep in mind. But if there is less toys available, there is less to check. So your morning check will be very quick and easy. Now, when I say check, I want you to look around before that play starts. Is there anything sharp? Is there anything small? Is there something that's not where it should be? And once children come in and start playing, you want to constantly keep an eye on both the child, the space, and the toys. So if something has changed from your first checkup, then you want to make that decision of, is this still safe? If children are switching activities, and they are very, very quickly, very often, you want to keep an eye on that to make sure that they're switching to an activity that they're allowed to, that is safe for them, that is good for their age and for their development. At the end of the day, help yourself by checking where things go when you're cleaning. Some days it's going to be better. Some days we're going to be absolutely exhausted and just putting everything in one box. But at least make sure that if you're putting things away, you either put it away in a good, organized manner, or you put it in that special box, which means to be organized in a later moment, because the worst thing that can happen is mix and match. And then your younger child might go into their toy box and find toys that are not supposed to be there. And that's double work for you. So, morning check, end of the day check, and regular checks during the day, that's something that you do anyway. But if you're familiar with it, if you get into routine of it, and if you tell someone else how to do it, it's going to be a lot safer for everyone. There are some special times when, this routine might not work. And that is when friends come over to play. If you have new children joining the play group, that means that you need to be aware of their age, their ability, their play, and how that relates to the toys that you have at home. If there is anything that you might want to remove, first because of safety reasons, then because children will have their favorite toys, and some toys will be very dear to their heart. So if that gets destroyed, there's a lot of upset happening. So you will think about which toys are suitable for this play, for this group. And of course, if this is the right activity for everyone, if there is enough space for this kind of play, and what can we do in the moment to make it a little bit safer. Other special times, busy times that can be a little bit distracting are meal times, when you are stretched on different sides and trying to either serve foods to different children, are bombarded with different requests and comments. And of course, when you're answering the phone or attending to a specific child, so usually diaper change. Diaper change is very difficult because you are attending to one child and you need to finish that. And at the same time, you might need to supervise. So whilst you're changing diaper, either remove one difficult or small piece or something that's not suitable for independent play for other children, or change the activity slightly or temporarily so that it's safe while for this minute or two you cannot supervise. Again, it all goes back to being aware and realistic with how much supervision you can give and how quickly you can react if something happens. So remember, with everything I've said, we're not trying to stop kids from having fun. We're just trying to make everyone safe and play safe in their own way, depending on their age. If you're not sure about something that's happening, whether it's safe or not, It's always better to be safe than sorry, and to stop the play now than to wish you did. So keep that in mind and try and apply all the advice given.